Mrs. Jungkook finally opened her voice after choosing silence for so long. What he revealed about TAEHYUNG was completely unexpected and made anyone unable to hold back tears. Why did TAEHYUNG pick up Jungkook alone without telling the other members? And what happens when Jimin suddenly hugs Jungkook sobbing in the crowd of soldiers? This fact is not just an ordinary surprise. These are long-buried wounds, which finally burst out in one embrace. What was really going on behind Jungkook's calm smile as he finally walked out of the gates of the military camp? Why is it that only TAEHYUNG is seen picking her up, with no other BTS members, no crowds, and no cameras? Just a silent moment that holds thousands of meanings that have never been said. Why did Jimin, who came later, suddenly run up and hug Jungkook so tightly, as if holding back longing and regret all at once?
Done?
Why was it that when it all happened, Jungkook's mother seemed to be wiping away tears, then whispering something that finally changed everything? No one expected that Jungkook's pickup moment would be one of the most emotional and meaningful events in BTS's travel history. During this time, the public only saw glimpses, pieces of video, a line of smiles, and 1 or 2 words on social media. But what many people don't know is the heartwarming story hidden behind TAEHYUNG's decision to come alone. And now, Jungkook's mother chose to break the silence. I have to talk, because I know my son is too good to say everything himself, she said softly in a closed interview. What did the mother really say? Why did he make so many soldiers cry? And most astonishingly, how could TAEHYUNG take such a big decision alone even though he has been known to take care of the feelings of all the members the most? Before we get into the mother's shocking confession, let's go back to that day. The day the camp gates opened and Jungkook stepped out. Not in the style of superstars, nor in strict control. He was carrying only a small backpack and a meaningful smile. But his eyes were looking for someone. Not the camera, not a fan, but someone he misses very much. And when TAEHYUNG appeared from the right side, standing quietly in the shadow of the car, Jungkook couldn't help but smile. But no hugs, no words, just a nod. Silent, but deep. Only the two of them know what they've been through together. Jungkook's mother, who watched from a distance, looked at the two of them with glassy eyes. You know, he said, that's not the first time TAEHYUNG has come quietly for my son. The phrase immediately became the beginning of an explosion of emotions that had never been conveyed before. According to the mother, since the beginning of Jungkook's enlistment, TAEHYUNG has been the only one who has consistently sent personal letters without ever notifying the other members. He doesn't want to make this a highlight. But I know that letter always makes Jungkook cry at night, she said in a trembling voice. And here's the part that makes everyone who hears it speechless. TAEHYUNG once came to the house when Jungkook was in military training. He sat in the living room and asked me, what can I do so that Jungkook, doesn't feel alone in there? Can you imagine that? A friend came secretly to his friend's house, only to ask how he could make him feel accompanied despite the walls and barbed wire separating them. It wasn't just an ordinary friendship. It is a form of love and care that can only be born from a truly sincere heart. And when the pickup day arrives, TAEHYUNG arrives early. It does not carry a camera, not bringing a team. Don't even wear flashy outfits like we used to see at the airport. He was wearing only a plain gray hoodie and faded jeans. Because it's about him, not about me, TAEHYUNG said later. I just want to be there when he steps out. Not to be photographed, but to make sure she doesn't feel alone. Where are the other members? And why did Jimin come so late, run, and cry? Did something happen before? Jungkook's mother gave the answer. And the answer is not only shocking, but also heartbreaking. A few days before the pickup, Jungkook wrote a letter to Jimin. A very long letter. But he never sent it, he said, showing a crumpled piece of paper. He's scared. He was afraid that Jimin was not ready to hear everything. But Jimin somehow knew. He arrived late that day not because he was late getting up or stuck on schedule. He came late because he needed time to strengthen himself. And when he finally arrived, seeing Jungkook standing with a small backpack and sparkling eyes, he could no longer hold back the tears. A hug is not just a hug. That's regret. It was gratitude. It was a wound that he had been holding, finally melting in a warm embrace. I'm sorry, Jimin whispered as he hugged her. But Jungkook just patted her on the back and said quietly, "You came. That's enough." Jungkook's mother admitted at the time that she couldn't stand it anymore. She was crying, but not because she was sad. "I cried because for the first time, I saw my son surrounded by such pure love. Not the love from the fans, not the love from the camera, but from the people who really knew her." And here comes the big unanswered question. Why only TAEHYUNG knows first? Is this because of something they've been through together before? Jungkook had dark nights during training, his mother said. And only one voice can calm him down. TAEHYUNG's voice. As it turns out, TAEHYUNG once recorded a special song just for Jungkook and sent it secretly to the military so that it could be played while he slept. The song was never released to the public, never shared with other members. It's just for Jungkook. If I talk to the others, they will know. But I want Jungkook to know that he has a safe place, even when he can't see us, TAEHYUNG said later. What can we conclude from all this? Perhaps all this time we were too focused on the stage, on music, on achievements. But we forget that behind it all, they are human beings. They have feelings. They're hurt. They heal each other. And when the world just saw who was more popular, who was more active on social media, there was one silent moment, one hug, one whisper, one song, that brought it all back together. That day was not about pickups. It was the day when one great family, once fractured by time and distance, finally came together again. And it all started with one small act, TAEHYUNG picking up Jungkook alone. Not because he wanted to be the first, but because he didn't want Jungkook to feel last. And now, after her mother spoke, the world knows that there are things deeper than fame. There is pain, there is healing. And it all started with one loving step in front of the gates of the military camp. But wait a minute, if it's true that TAEHYUNG recorded a special song for Jungkook, why was it never revealed until now? And why did the military allow the song to be played exclusively for one person? What exactly is behind their relationship that is invisible to the public eye? Jungkook's mother answered back in a barely audible voice, as if afraid that the world was not ready to hear everything. This song is not just a recording. It's a prayer. According to him, Jungkook had a mild panic attack in the 3rd week of training. His body was strong, but his mind began to crumble by the pressure, loneliness, and public pressure that did not subside, even though his military uniform covered it all. My son has never cried in front of anyone. But that night, he cried alone in the corner of his barracks bed. What makes this heart really cut is, who he first calls in his tears is not his father or mother, not even the manager. He said one name in a faint whisper in the darkness. Tae. Somehow, the word was heard by one of the fellow soldiers who was in the next booth. And it was that colleague who then contacted HYB's management secretly, telling him that Jungkook looked very moody and demoralized. The information then reaches TAEHYUNG's ears. And from then on, unbeknownst to the other members, she began sending voice recordings, short poems, and even the sound of prayers in the old Korean language that her mother used to soothe her heart. She turned her voice into a hug, Jungkook's mother said, holding back tears. And you know, the voice Jungkook kept under his pillow. As it were, it was a spare life when everything felt too heavy. This is where the question that made a lot of ARMY shudder began to arise. If TAEHYUNG and Jungkook's closeness was so deep, why was this always hidden? Is this a company order? Were they deliberately separated for the sake of a different solo image and promotion? Will this incident change everything? It doesn't stop there. After Jimin hugged Jungkook with tears that almost made time stop, one thing happened that was not caught on any camera, but was told directly by the military officer who was on duty at the post at that time. The 3 of them, TAEHYUNG, Jungkook, and Jimin, stopped under a large pine tree outside the headquarters area. Over there, they clasped each other's hands. No talking. No more crying. Just shut up. But silence weighs like the whole world, said the officer. He described the atmosphere at that time as very quiet, as if the wind was holding its breath. After a few minutes, TAEHYUNG let go of his hand first and said, "When you're ready, let's go home." But not as BTS, as US. The simple word "we" became the most emotional conversation opener that has been only a shadow for fans. In the car on the way home, Jungkook's mother finally enters after being invited by TAEHYUNG himself. "You're part of this too, Mom," he said as he opened the door to eye on the car. Silence turned into frankness. For the first time in more than 2 years, Jimin admitted that he felt replaced by TAEHYUNG and Jungkook's closeness. "I feel like I'm not." But was it only the three of them who knew the depth of emotions that day? What about the other members who are absent? What about Jin, who is still on military duty? Or RM, who has always been seen as the most rational figure among them, but secretly always sends handwritten letters to Jungkook every week? A surprise came that night. Right after Haru's moment in the car, when the three stop at a special in HYB set up so Jungkook can rest before returning home, Jungkook's mother receives a small package with a stamp from the military camp where Jin was assigned. No sender name, just a simple handwriting in the lower right corner. "To John Jungkook from your Hyung." He didn't open it right away. He put it on the table, but Jungkook saw it. He recognized the letter in an instant. His hand trembled as he touched the shabby brown envelope. And when he opened it slowly, a thin sheet of paper came out, smelling like dust and rain falling on metal. What's in it? Just 2 sentences. "If you ever feel like you've lost yourself, look back. There we are. J-I-N-D, and oh, more punctuation. No frills." But when Jungkook finished reading it, he couldn't say anything. Her tears fell again. Not because of sadness, but as he had just realized, even when they were apart, his heart was never alone. But the real surprises are not over. At 11 p.m., just as everyone was starting to fall asleep, a phone call came into Jungkook's mother's phone. Unknown number. He barely lifted it, but there was a push in his heart. And as he answered, the voice on the other end made him freeze. "This is Namjoon. Sorry to interrupt Mom's night, but can I talk to you for a second?" Jungkook's mother walked to the balcony. The night air is piercing, but the sound of RM across felt like a soothing soft blanket. "I know Jungkook is home," RM said. "I can't go there, but I want you to know something. As long as he was in camp, every letter I sent to him always came back. Not until... I don't know why, but I keep writing." Jungkook's mother was silent. RM continued, this time in an almost trembling voice. "Because I know, he needs to know, that even if the world forgets him, we will never forget who he was." As it turns out, RM has been writing letters every week to Jungkook, even though none of them have been delivered. And more surprisingly, RM reveals that he once tried to visit Jungkook's training camp secretly disguised in an oversized hoodie jacket and a mask, but not allowed to enter because it does not have official permission. He only stood outside the gate for 1 hour, hoping to catch a glimpse of the figure of the sister he had been guarding like his own flesh and blood. "I can't be his protector this time," whispered RM, "but I know Jimin and TAEHYUNG can." After the phone was hung up, Jungkook's mother went into the room and woke her son up. "He told me everything. About the letter. About RM waiting outside the fence. About a genie who wrote 2 sentences without pretensions, but containing a love that cannot be measured. And for the first time since leaving the military, Jungkook said, 'I want to go home. But not at home. I want to go home to them.'" The next day, HYB arranged a small meeting, very secret. Not a press conference. Not YouTube content. But only a room with a round table, a couple of chairs, and no cameras. Who attended? Jungkook, Jimin, TAEHYUNG, and the new RM are given permission to leave for a while. Jin joins by a video call. What happened there will never be officially published. But a HYB staffer who accidentally passed by and heard laughter mixed with tears from behind the wall said, "I don't know what they're talking about, but I know they're rebuilding something that once collapsed." Some say Jimin apologized publicly for staying away. Some say TAEHYUNG expressed his fear of losing Jungkook completely. Even RM reportedly hit the table and cried because of holding the weight as a leader who could not do anything when all the members were scattered and injured. But of all that, what left everyone speechless the most was Jungkook's sentence before the meeting closed. He stood up, looked at them one by one, and said, "I've been trying for a long time to be the best version of myself for the world. Now, I want to be the best version for you guys. Nobody cheered.